This is God winging it with me, Roger Michael Klang. I mainly use the source SR Ekut as reference, and I'm not winging it any longer since it is too damned hard. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said at a press conference that the US and the Israeli attack on Iran, which the Trump administration calls Operation Epic Fury, is the most complex and precise attack in history. If you kill or threaten Americans, we will hunt you down and kill you, the defense secretary says. He also said that Iran was building missiles and drones to create a shield for future nuclear blackmail. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said during a press conference that to avoid Iran using its ballistic missiles as cover while a nuclear weapon is being built, the missiles must therefore be destroyed. End quote. What a load of crap. Iran doesn't possess the technology to guide drones to targets on, for example, Cyprus, nor, or even less, do they have the ability to guide ballistic missiles and actually hit anywhere near a target at that distance. They would have to rely on inertial guidance, and that is not good enough at this range. But if you rather want to interpret the attack on the British base on Cyprus like this, then be my guest. We forgot to protect our rear by shutting off Starlink. Contradicting the Operation Epic Fury is complex and precise. Correction, most complex and precise. I think that since they actually hit some part of the British base, that it was a by Israel apprehended Shahed drone aimed at the British base. The Israelis and the United States stand most to win by hitting the British base. Israel can force Europe into the war on the US side by invoking NATO's Article 5. Article 5 says that if a NATO country is attacked militarily by some other state, let us say Iran, the other NATO countries have to enter into a war against, let us say Iran. It fits right into the US narrative. If Britain and Greece jumps on the bandwagon remains to be seen. Prime Minister Keir Starmer was against the attack, but is now opening up British air bases so that the US can use them to combat Iranian missiles and drones. There is no imminent threat to the US from Iran, like Trump claimed before entering into a full-scale war against Iran, in clear violation of US law. Still, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defends the attack on Iran as necessary to deal with the alleged threat from the country. He emphasizes that the attack is not about regime change, but that such a move would be welcome from the US perspective. Sure, Pete, Hegseth, sure. It's not about regime change, but we are sure heading for it. So when Trump said to the Iranians that this is their only chance in a generation to topple the regime, it will be yours to take, he was just blowing smoke up their arse? What about the waterproof Operation Fury? They don't seem to have their shit together. Hexet is not ruling out boots on the ground. If they want a war, let it be American and Israeli boots. News reports seem to confirm that three American fighter aircraft have by mistake been shot down by Kuwait's air defense. But you know, the first thing to die in a war is the truth. The crew survived. Now they suddenly say that fake film clips and video games are being used as disinformation in the conflict in the Middle East. Fake images from video games and old images from other conflicts, stated to show the Iran conflict, are allegedly being spread on X, Telegram, and a number of different platforms. It allegedly involves false content about how fighter jets have been shot down and that American military ships have been sunk. It may be true, it may not be true. But AI generated material that looked like a news broadcast stating that the Israeli Prime Minister has been killed. Probably untrue. But the news report is based on actual Iranian attacks on Benjamin Netanyahu's residence and headquarters. A girls' school was reportedly hit in the Israeli American attacks on Iran on Saturday. According to information from Iran, 165 people, including several children, died in the attack. The airstrike reportedly took place during the day when students were at the school. And Israel announced on Tuesday that it had entered southern Lebanon with ground troops. Just a little expanding of Israeli borders, I guess. US President Donald Trump met with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on Tuesday evening. Trump said he would prefer to see someone from within Iran take over when the war is over. Friedrich Merz is, let us say, principleless. He is merely waltzing with Donald Trump. Friedrich Merz said that he supported the US and Israeli war against Iran, but wants to see a clear strategy for the post war period. And Donald is threatening to stop all trade with Spain after the Spanish Prime Minister strongly criticized the US and Israel's war on Iran. If he stops all trade with Spain, the rest of the EU, with the exception of Merz Germany, I presume, is going to step up to the batter. We will supply Spain with whatever they need that we can supply them with, and that the US won't let them have. One for all, and all for one. Except for Germany, is my guess. They will be judged by the posterity. Donald said on Monday that the US is counting on the war to last not longer than 4 to 5 weeks, but that they can go on with the air attacks for far longer than that. And the entire country of Iraq is affected by power outages. The country's energy minister said. Iraqi sources are unclear about what caused the power outages, but are saying that the authorities are troubleshooting and have begun restoring parts of the power system. In the meantime, explosions were heard in the Kurdish regional capital of Erbil on Wednesday, and Iraqi security sources said several drones had been shot down near Baghdad airport. If I didn't conclude that it is Israel who is behind it all, I would commit service error. Asian stock markets are rocked by a major slump, with South Korea losing 12% in one day. The whole of East Asia is heavily dependent on oil from the Persian Gulf. Meanwhile, European stock markets are showing stability, but long term. Roger and out.